So, hello everyone, and welcome to another video of Let's Play as Sinclair ZX81 games. And this is a bit of a tangent. So, here I'm not looking for inspirations for my own 8-bit retro games. This is more of a follow-up to the Let's Play video where I played the 1K ZX chess game, and yeah, it went as expected. So yeah, you have a 1K size engine that can follow most of the chess rules, but no real logic. But I think it also sells the whole platform short in terms of how good the chess programs actually are. And I figure I remedy this by playing a proper ZX81 chess game, so ZX Chess 2, the improved versions. So there are actually a couple of chess programs available on the ZX81 stuff.co.uk site. So again, a shout out where I got the title image and this tape from. I don't know which one is best or actually good, but it doesn't really matter because while I know my way around the chessboard, I'm not particularly good or anything, so it doesn't really matter. So I picked one that says improved, which I suppose is not the worst one, at least of the 16K chess programs, and I figure let's give it a go. So do I want to play, analyze, or load? So I want to play. I'll start with white. And so it has 6 levels of play, and the instructions say that level 0 has a 2-second response time, level 1 a 15-second, level 2 a 40-second, level 3 a 3 minutes, level 4 5 minutes, and then level 5 and 6 are more suitable for correspondence chess. So they will have very long response time. So let's start at the lowest level and see what happens. And also that means I don't have to edit this, so you're going to see the real-time play going on. So here is the chessboard, and unlike the 1KZX chess, I can use the proper notation. I sort of have to keep track of where my pieces are and where the other pieces are, because with these colors, it's not always that clear. So let's go for a box standard opening. And it immediately a reply, so it looks like there is a rudimentary opening book. So again, the standard open game, and yeah, it likes that. So since it has only a very short time to think, I suspect there isn't that much depth in the calculations, so I'm going for something on the bit more aggressive side. So Italian games, specifically the Evans or Evans Gambit, so B2, B4. And yeah, so it takes the pawn. Then we can annoy the... So the bishop moves back, and then let's go for a push towards the center to d4. So pawn takes on d4, and my pawn also takes on d4. So queen f6. So the pawn is still, the bishop is still threatened. I think I can now annoy the queen. So e4, e5. So I'm getting a check. So I guess I use my bishop to cover the king. Then the bishop is threatened and the queen is threatened. So queen goes to f4. And I take the queen with my bishop because it's not sure what the English term for that is, because it's held in check. So the important thing is now to stay on the offensive. So I figure I develop my queenside knight to free my own bishop so that the queen is effectively threatened again. I suspect he will exchange his bishop for that knight, but let's see what happens. No, moves the queen. Okay, that works as well. So now I'm going to move my knight into the center and threatening a fork on c7. So queen e4 check. So I think I block that with my own queen. So the bishop takes and gives check. So I'm taking back with my king. So as we can see, the gameplay is pretty good. So we now have a nice attack and counterattack. So queen exchange, which is a sort of obvious thing to do. So d to e2. So no holds barred so far. And then, yeah, he has to move the king to prevent the fork. So it looks at least a little bit ahead so that it noticed the fork. But now I can threaten the next fork with the other knight. So in the meantime, his knight takes on d4 and gives check, but I can move my king uh, into the middle of the board, which is yeah, not common, but at the same time, I think that's the effect of this rather no holds barred playstyle. So knight to e6, and now I can think of giving the fork, or can I see something else that I want to do? No, I think that's the sensible thing to do. So I feel rather safe with my king in the middle because his rooks are nicely locked in. So g5 to f7. So king moves back so that I can fork again, but now first taking the rook. And then he still has to work out to prevent the fork. No, actually not the case because the knight on e6 covers d7. But yeah, first things first. So f7 to h8. So I move the knight out, which I can take with my knight if I wanted to. Question is, do I want that? So we'll probably take back with the king. So now it's getting a bit difficult to keep track of which pieces are where. Because also in the long term, I would like to get my knight back out of from h8, but that might not be the case, that it's that easy. Though I actually don't mind taking that he takes my knight at d5 with his knight, because then I'm getting a bit more active with my bishop. Although he might play simply c6, which I can't do anything about, and then I have to move my knight anyway. I think I'll go for the exchange. So d5 to e7, e6 to f4 check. Yeah, I'm having a little bit of trouble seeing those things because used to so proper 2D or even 3D chessboards on the screen and not these characters that are there. So it's a mini fork. I think the key thing is now to place my king somewhere where not getting into check immediately again. So I don't care that much about my g2 pawn at the moment. So d2 might be a decent idea. And I actually probably get the pawn back anyway through rook to g1, if I'm not mistaken, but let's find out. So d3, d3, d2. King takes first up there. Well, okay, which is fine. So he can't do much with his knight. So g2, g3, and then has to move somewhere. Yeah, to g6. The nice thing is now I'm getting my knight now back out, since it's covered by the bishop. So of course, I also take care of my center pawn. I might do that by f2, f4. I could also bring the rook out into play, but I think f2, f4 looks a bit more promising. Oh, the knight. Okay, the knight could take my knight. Yeah, that I didn't see that. So a bit of a bummer, but again, next time I probably have to use a proper chessboard that I can actually see what threatens what. So what's the count? So I have two bishops. So I think, yeah, it's still to have a rook for a knight, and also probably a bit of advantage on the pawn side. So I'm putting my rook out into play. So d6, what I expected. I might just actually take and then with check. So that's nice. So e5 to d6. So the king has to take, and then I can put my rook on the 8th row. I'm not sure it saw that, or I am not seeing something. I could also give check with the rook, but I don't think that's better necessarily. So I move the knight out. So the bishop is locked into place. I have to look up that English chess term. And then I guess I can do a bit of marauding on the his king's pawns. I'm still liking the check alternative. So rook e6 question mark, or is this a question? No, that's a question mark because there is the bishop from c8. So never mind. I might put the bishop on e6 so that I might get his bishop. If I'm not fully mistaken. Cover with a knight. There might be something better than simply exchange the bishop. And the rook, why not? So now I can bring my rook out into play at some point. And also move my king further into the center, which I might do first, so that I can move my king away from the column. So I might move my rook with check. So d2, c3, because I want to move my king where he has the majority of pawns, because I want to eat those pawns, whereas my pawns are rather secure down there. So let's get the rook out and see where he moves his king. That's a very interesting one. Why? So it gives check, okay, but that's just, well, it's not losing the knight, but it forces the next move, so to speak. So it actually doesn't. So what would look tempting is c3, c4, but then the knight can fork. So moving my king simply away. I'm not sure whether it's the best thing. I don't want to start thinking too much either. So it starts moving the pawns. So let's move the rook into the center. So I'm getting appetite for a pawn or two. So let's see whether this works. E4, E7. So now I have my pick actually, whereas he can't do much with my pawns. So anything where he can cover, not that easily actually. So I'm clearing out the queen side first, because that's where his pieces are, where they will have much more trouble defending the king size pawn. So now we have two isolated pawns on the king side, and then I can eat the next pawn. And the next pawn. So yeah, moves the king somewhere, but nothing to great effect. So it especially moves the king away from my pawns on the king side. So f5, f6 will be a fork. Do I care? Well, to an extent, I care, and also threatens the pawn. That's more advanced. Something elegant I can do here. I think the most elegant thing is to move the rook down. H6, H5. The king moves away because I threatened to move the pawn or to advance the pawn with check. So now I can simply push the pawn forward, and then this is sort of won. So knight moves up. So f6, f7. So c6, c5. It wants to do something to my king, which I don't really care that much about, because now I can promote. Auto promotes the queen, so it moves the pawn forward. Fine. Move the king somewhere where the knight can't give check. That's the important thing at this point. B3, A4 is a bit risky, but I think just that extra move ahead where I can prevent that nasty pawn there from advancing. So I think I'm giving check with the queen on F2. So king moves away from that pawn. So I could now either find some advanced combination, or I'm simply willing to exchange a rook for the knight to get that nasty pawn at c3, because I have the material advantage anyway. So don't want to win elegantly. I just want to mate. So threaten the pawn, king defends the pawn, and now I'm taking the knight with the rook. It makes things a hell of a lot easier when the last useful piece from the opponent is gone. So goodbye, and then I can take the pawn, c2, c3, and now this should be then rather trivial. So blocking the king, reducing the movement further and further, and moving my own king into position. That was in well a. That would give check. Okay, yeah. So a4, b4, b4, c5, d4, d5, c5, d6, d5, e5, d6, d7, h2, h4. Might use a pawn for something useful. And d7, e6, e5, g5, e6, f7, and then g5, g7. So that wasn't too difficult, and I think I blundered one or two times, and I sort of would hesitate to put this into a proper analysis engine and see all the other places where I blundered and didn't even notice. So I think at least it gave a much better account of itself. So ZX chess on the lowest level, and I figure since I won, I'm going to give it a rematch at the next higher level and see how I fare then and there. So then let's have another go to play. And I'm now playing as black. And let's increase the level of difficulty from 0 to 1. So, and I'm having a real chessboard in front of me. So as you can see, the board isn't flipped, even though I'm playing as black. So I would have an even harder time figuring things out. What are the current threats, etc. So yeah, standard open game opening, and I'll follow suit. And knight to f3, so nothing special. I'm going for the Petrov, which I like to play against the regular open game to avoid all those very common openings. So d4, okay, I think that's a bit of an unusual one. So I'm going to take the e4 pawn with the knight. That's, I think, one of the two main lines here. And now the thinking starts. I'm going to cut out all the computer thinking now, of course. So it's the end of the opening book. So no surprise, takes with the pawn. So now it's time to develop the d pawn. So knight to c3. So let's bring out the bishop. So I pinned and now the computer unpins, so I looked up that term. So I'm going to take the bishop, pressure on the knight. The queen takes, unsurprisingly. So I'm going to castle, no rush, because I have a bit of respect for the computer here with the next difficulty level. So the castling the other way around. So it's getting asymmetrical, and so I have to take care of my center pawn. So c6. I'm particularly liking that I seem to block my queen side with pawns, but let's see how this evolves. So it develops the bishop. So I'm not developing the other bishop because otherwise that's probably going to be locked in with all the pawns on white fields. g4. So queen to f4, so threatening my bishop. But I don't think there's anything wrong exchanging the bishop because it's going to be pretty useless otherwise. So or rather bishop against the knight. So bishop takes back. No surprise there. So now I have to take care of my other bishop. I could exchange it also for the knight, although then I'm without any bishop. So what I like is queen a5, so annoying a bit on the queen side. Rook to d3. So I can win a pawn, I think, by changing bishop for knight. Is that too greedy, though? I think I'm going for it. Let's see what the computer makes of it. So now I can. So the rook takes back, and now I'm going to take a2. So going for queen exchange. Probably. Yes. I might not be able to keep the pawn. So rook to d1. So computer is in no rush. And a bit hampered by that my knight still blocks the 8th row. I guess still need to develop the knight though, even if it's to the side of the board. So rook to d4. So I'm going to threaten the computer center pawn with my rook. So bishop takes on c6. Looks like I'm missing something. Ah, I see the pawn that supports the loner knight there. I'm still taking it because I think the bishop would be a bit more powerful than the knight as the board opens even more. So now it's time to eat some pawns, I guess. So I'll try to keep eating pawns if that's possible. So rook to f4. So I can gain a bit of time by threatening a mate. So c3 to give the white king a bit of breathing space there. I think I might have the option for perpetual check if I'm not mistaken, and since I'm effectively one pawn down, since I don't think I can defend my c pawn, I'm going to try that. Might be missing something. So rook to e8. So takes with the c rook. So then let's give some check. It's not going to be perpetual check. The king can walk away since the pawn is now gone. So check again. It's probably strategically lost anyway, because I don't think I can prevent the c pawn from walking through. So king to b3. So let's give some more check. Might exchange a rook, but that's fine. That's one less piece to worry about. As it does. So it takes with the other rook, which makes sense because it now threats mate. So let's give my king some breathing space. I'm going for g6 so that uh, the other rook can't block my seventh row. So interestingly, the rook goes back. So I like my rook where it is, and I probably can start annoying his rook a little bit. So moving my king up. So h4, I'm playing f5. King to a2. Not sure what that's going to accomplish. So moving my king up further. My king is now very active, and his most certainly isn't, and needs to defend on his queen side. So moving back and forth with the king doesn't look like having much of an idea. I wonder whether this implements this three times same position or the move repetition. I'm not exactly sure on what the chess rules are or what they were in 1981, whether this is implemented at all. So let's see what happens if I move my king back, because I'm not going to lose much. And then if whether the computer does anything meaningful after that. Or I could move my king forward to threaten the rook. I think I'm going to try that. G3. So what I'm going to do to shorten this up, I'm going to ask a modern chess engine what the current state is, so whether this is a draw or whether I cannot stop the extra pawn on the c line so that we come to a conclusion without a too much drawn out endgame. And good thing I asked, because with a black to move, it's indeed a draw. If white were to move, then it would take something like 72 moves to deliver checkmate to me. So we can simply see that even on level 1, ZX Chess 2 is, I think, equal, if not slightly, a superior opponent to me. As I said, I'm certainly not good or anything, so one shouldn't judge the ZX81's chess prowess on the 1K chess, but rather on a proper chess program, and it has a decent strength. So I'm one pawn down. I guess I was a little bit too greedy on the queen side to capture the a2 pawn. So in sum, we can say that level 0 is, I think, a great learning opportunity for a weak-ish player like me to learn how to exploit others' blunders, and then already level 1 is then a fair opponent, and I'm not going to play more games to see whether this was a fluke, whether I was particularly good or particularly bad with my hunch, maybe not to capture the a pawn, and whether black or white or any specific opening makes any difference. But yeah, so let's just say that even on the ZX81, despite its limitations in 1981, is a pretty fair chess opponent. So this tangent was interesting. Thank you for watching. And then normal service will resume here in the near future with Let's Plays of Sinclair ZX81 games, where I'm looking for inspiration for my own 8-bit retro games. So stay tuned.